Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another video. The Champions League is once again upon us this week, and it gets to the business end of the competition as we are entering the quarter-final stages. In this video, we're going to be looking ahead at the week's Champions League action in the quarter-finals, looking at Tuesday's games and also Wednesday's, giving bit of a preview and a bit of a prediction going into those games and seeing who will make it into the semi-final across both legs. But before we go any further, I would like to remind you all to please like the video and also subscribe if you're new. Both things are always and would be greatly appreciated. And for now, let's look into the quarter-final stages of the Champions League, beginning with Tuesday's games. Alright, so kicking things off, we've got Benfica taking on Liverpool in their backyard. Liverpool are away in the first leg, which means, of course, the second leg is going to be played at Anfield. And you'd have to say, going into this game, Liverpool are, of course, the clear favourites. I remember when the draw was made, and I made a video on the draw, I instantly said Liverpool are favourites for this game for a number of reasons. One being the quality that they have within their squad, the depth that they have in their squad. Their manager is better, and also I said that with Liverpool playing at home in the second leg, of course that adds to the weight that this game is pulling in their direction, in their favour. Liverpool overall across both legs should be getting through quite comfortably, you'd imagine. This was the draw that everybody wanted going into it. Everybody wanted to play Benfica, not just because they're terrible or they're bad or whatever. It's just because with the way that the draw was set up, it was the more favourable game to have when in comparison to the rest of the draw. Everybody wanted Benfica. Unfortunately for the Reds, they got them. Benfica are no pushovers by any means. They quite surprised the competition last time out by beating Ajax. I think many people, including myself, were backing Ajax to win against Benfica, but it was the Portuguese side that came out on top across both legs in that encounter. Liverpool themselves are not prone to an upset either. They beat Inter Milan in the round of 16 stage. They won the first leg and managed to lose the second leg with also progressing at the same time, because they only lost by 1-0, whereas they beat Inter Milan in the first leg by 2-0. So on aggregate, it was 2-1 in Liverpool's favour. So they're not exactly bulletproof or invincible, but you'd imagine that Liverpool should have no worries whatsoever in beating Benfica in this tie. The likes of Mohamed Salah, Sadio Mane, Roberto Firmino, Diego Jota, Luis Diaz, all, I guess, will have some say in the tie across both legs. Remember, there is big games coming up for Liverpool this month, and none more bigger than, of course, Sunday's encounter with Manchester City. So I guess that Liverpool's game plan would be just to try and blitz away Benfica within probably the opening hour of the game, and then rest some players in preparation for that one, and also put the tie to bed very early on, so that they can go to Anfield the week after and pretty much see the game out in a professional manner, because they'll also have Manchester City in the FA Cup the weekend after. So there's going to be massive games coming up for Liverpool. They'll want to try and blitz their way through them as quickly and as safely as possible, and they have the quality to do it. They definitely have the quality to do it, and to obviously blitz away anybody on their day. So why not Benfica? Similar to a couple of years ago when they played Porto in this kind of round at this stage. They just blitzed away Porto in the first leg, and then in the second leg saw out quite comfortably. It could happen again. As far as Benfica goes, a couple of players to look out for. Well, one or two decent players within their ranks, but overall shouldn't really pose too much of a threat, especially to the back line of Liverpool that has been in such outstanding form recently. I don't know if Trent Alexander-Arnold will return to the starting lineup, whether they'll give him like half an hour or something at the end of the game and then get him prepared for Sunday's game. But Joe Gomez is a worthy stand-in. Van Dijk and Matip have been absolute brick walls at the back for Liverpool in recent games and across this season for the most part. And Andy Robertson, of course, just outstanding in every sense of the word. So I don't see them breaking through that back line much, Benfica. They'll just do what Typically, everybody does try to exploit the spaces that the fullbacks will leave, but it's going to be difficult for them. I see Liverpool winning this game across both legs, and I'm going to go for a first leg prediction of a 3-0 victory in favour of Jurgen Klopp's side, and then for them to go and see the game out professionally and comfortably at Anfield the week after. Tuesday night we'll also see Manchester City take on Atletico Madrid, and this one is a very, very intriguing one. City, of course, absolutely smashed their way past Sporting Lisbon last time out in the round of 16 stage, destroying them in the first leg and then seeing the game out in the second, whilst Atletico had to battle against Manchester City's fierce rivals Manchester United across both legs in order to knock United out of this competition. It's an intriguing one simply for the reason that Atletico haven't been as great as what we know they can be and have been in recent years. They have not been as defensively resolute, shall we say. They have tried to adapt their playing style. They've got a bit more flair and a bit more of an attacking prowess to their side these days. They still carry that, obviously, Diego Simeone DNA of being strong and solid and resolute at times, but it's just not been as irresistible or as resolute, shall we say, as we've seen it and known it to be in previous years. But they come against a Manchester City side who, yes, they smashed their way past Sporting Lisbon, you'd expect that. But if Atletico can pull out the kind of defensively strong, resolute performance in this leg and take it back to their home ground in the second with a solid performance and a solid result here, there's no reason why Atletico can't knock out City in this competition. City at times this season have looked pretty toothless in attack. They've at times looked like they're lacking a killer instinct and a killer edge in front of goal at times. We've seen that against Tottenham, we've seen that against Southampton, we've seen that against Crystal Palace a couple of times this season for City. There's no reason why, if Atletico can't be strong defensively here and look to try and hit them on the counter-attack, that they can't maybe nick something to go back home with a sense of promise and a sense of maybe they could knock out one of the favourites for this competition this season. Of course, as a Liverpool fan, I'm really hoping that Atletico maybe can pull off something in this game. But, you know, on paper, there is a reason why City are one of the favourites to go on and win this competition this season, and that's why they are favourites to go into this tie and come out of it by advancing into the semi-final stages. Of course, for Atletico, like I say, strong defensively, got a bit of flair now up front. They've got Griezmann back in the fold. Suarez is still there. They've got João Felix, of course. They've got a workhorse-like midfield, as you'd expect from a Diego Simeone side. He's going to be proper riled up. He's going to be cheerleading the Atletico fans. He's going to be very animated on the touchline, and he comes up against, of course, a former foe, I guess you'd say, in, of course, Pep Guardiola, the more reserved Pep Guardiola, unless the cameras are on him. A Pep Guardiola side that, of course, wants to win this competition more than anything. The treble is still on for Manchester City, and like I said earlier with Liverpool, of course, they've got some big games themselves coming up this month, and obviously none more so than Sunday's game, as I keep mentioning, when City take on Liverpool at the Etihad. So, again, you do look at it and you may think, maybe he might have one eye on that one as well. Maybe he might overcomplicate this, and that could fall into Atletico's hands a little bit. We have known Pep Guardiola in the past to overcomplicate these kind of games when he's got bigger games on the horizon, and that has normally worked in the favour of whatever opposition he's gone against. So that could be interesting to look out for as well. But it should be interesting. I don't think this is quite as big of a foregone conclusion as what many people may think. I think Atletico still have a very strong chance in this game of taking something back to the Madrid's ground and maybe finishing the game off there. Similar to what we saw a couple of years ago against Liverpool. They got an unlikely win against Liverpool and then went on to beat them in the second leg across extra time as well. So could be interesting. In saying all of that, I am still going to back Manchester City because I think they will still manage to find a way through this Atletico side, because although they have really stepped up their game in recent weeks, they're on like a 6-game winning streak in La Liga. They seem to have got back sort of to their best at times. They also were strong enough to knock out Manchester United. They are still quite underwhelming. They are still quite underperforming at times. I just think that City will just have a little bit too much for them creatively. That will see them across the line, across both legs. So I am going for a City win in the first leg, and then I'm going to say that they get the job done away from home as well. I'm going to say that City will win the first leg by 2-1. Wednesday is going to see arguably the biggest game of this round of fixtures. It is arguably the headline game, which is Chelsea taking on Real Madrid. The first leg is going to be played obviously at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea, to get this far, had to beat French side Lille in the round of 16 stage, whilst Madrid had to obviously knock out the one of the big guns in PSG in what was a thrilling encounter there, in which Karim Benzema really turned up and shined in the round of 16 stage for them. Of course, there's a lot of narrative going into this game. There are a lot of former players playing their other club. I don't know if he'll be playing because of, I think I read that he's somewhere that he might be injured. But Eden Hazard, of course, returning to face his former club of Chelsea. You've also got Thibaut Courtois returning to face his former club of Chelsea. And of course, the manager, Carlo Ancelotti, used to be a manager of Chelsea. So there's a bit of narrative on the Madrid side. There's also a bit of narrative on the Chelsea side. Mateo Kovacic used to play for Real Madrid, of course. So, you know, old faces reuniting of their former clubs and what have you. So a bit of narrative there for journalists to get their teeth stuck into. This one is going to be very interesting. This one really could go any which way. It is definitely a 50-50 in my opinion. You've got Chelsea, who are coming up against this competition's most successful team in winning it and triumphing in this competition in Real Madrid. Real Madrid are looking to reclaim their throne, looking to go back on top of their throne by winning this competition, being known as the Kings of Europe again. Chelsea are looking to obviously retain their Champions League crown after winning it last year. Thomas Tuchel's side obviously have that experience now under their belts. Real Madrid, of course, have got a lot of experience within their team. May not be the Real Madrid teams that won it back to back in that obviously 3 consecutive seasons spell that they had a few years ago, but they are still a strong and, like I say, very experienced and knowledgeable team when it comes to this competition. And of course, they've got a manager to boot that obviously knows that more than anyone of how to win and be in the final of this competition and how to get through in this competition. So they've got to be wary of that. Chelsea obviously go into this game off the back of a 4-1 loss to Brentford. Not the best of games for them by any means, of course, but maybe Thomas Tuchel did have one eye on this fixture, and maybe that's why he changed things a little bit when it came to facing the Bees at the weekend. But don't put anything past Chelsea. Like I say, they may lack in attack. They may lack a cutting edge when it comes to a natural striker. But Kai Havertz has obviously stepped up in the games that have mattered the most for the Blues when playing in a more advanced sort of false number 9 role, I guess you'd say. And maybe he might have a say again. This is going to be a game full of big name players, and for Chelsea, obviously, they're going to need them to step up. The likes of Antonio Rudiger, Thiago Silva, N'Golo Kante, like I say, Kai Havertz, Mason Mount. There's just a number, and you can throw in Romelu Lukaku and Timo Werner as well. They may not be the most, they may not have been in the best form right now, but they could still cause this Madrid side problems, especially with the pace and the power that they possess. But on the flip side, of course, you know about Real Madrid. You know that they have strong and dangerous players, and especially that midfield 3, which is not exactly young anymore. It's getting older. The likes of Casemiro, Luka Modric and Toni Kroos. They may not exactly be on the young side anymore, but they are very dangerous because they know the game inside and out. They know what to do, and if they turn up, they will easily win that midfield battle, regardless of who they are up against. And of course, we've already mentioned him briefly, but if Karim Benzema is in the mood, if Vinicius Jr. is linking up well with Benzema as he has been for the majority of this season, and if Benzema in particular is in the mood, then Madrid will win this game, basically because they just have a better cutting edge. I expect the game in the first leg to be similar to how Madrid played in Paris. They basically said, with no away goal anymore, we'll basically play out for a draw. Maybe they'll be calm, they'll control the game, they'll play out for at the very least not to lose, and then they'll take the game back to the Santiago Bernabeu, and they'll obviously go on and try and use the home advantage to their favour and go on and try and win the game away from home. But that isn't to say that I don't think Madrid won't nick it. I'm actually going to go for a Madrid win in the first leg, simply for the reason, like I say, that I think they'll just have a bit more of a cutting edge to them than Chelsea. I'm not expecting it to be a massively high scoring game by any means, but I am expecting a lot of good football to be played. And that is why I'm going to say that Madrid come out of this game 1-0 winners, Karim Benzema to go on the score sheet, and then take the game back to the Bernabeu and finish the job off there. I'm actually backing Real Madrid to make it into the semi-final. And finally, we come to Villarreal versus Bayern Munich, the game that will round off the quarter-final stages of this competition on Wednesday for the first leg. Yes, not exactly the result in the draw that Villarreal were wanting. It was arguably one of the worst. The only way it could have been worse if they got City or Liverpool, but that was obviously the risk they were running. Villarreal, not to be written off though, they did rather surprise the competition last time out with a comfortable second leg victory against Juventus of all teams. I don't think many people were expecting Villarreal to get past Juventus, especially when it was at Juventus' home ground in the second leg, to get past them. But Unai Emery's side managed to do that, and they were rewarded with a tie against Bayern Munich in the quarterfinal. A Bayern Munich side who had just come off the back of smashing Red Bull Salzburg in the round of 16 stage it was on like 8-2, I believe, on aggregate. Obviously a game that saw Robert Lewandowski once again back on the score sheet a number of occasions, and like I say, him and Karim Benzema are really challenging themselves to be known as the best striker currently in Europe. It's going to be interesting, this one. It's another reason that we know how Unai Emery likes to set up his team to play. It's a rather phased out formation now that he likes to play in the 4-4-2. We know that they're going to be defensively sound and resolute, and it's just going to be about trying to hold their own against the Bayern Munich side that have got a lot of creativity, a lot of pace, and obviously will have Robert Lewandowski firing on all cylinders, you'd imagine. And so it's about trying to restrict the amount of chances that he will have. Is there a chance of Villarreal? Of course there is. Maybe the stars align. Maybe Villarreal get a good result at home. Maybe they go away and maybe they manage to stink out Bayern Munich and in the second leg, and maybe come away with like a 1-0 aggregate win. I don't know. Like, maybe the stars will align across both legs. Maybe a shock will happen. But you have to say that there is a reason why Bayern Munich are going into this game as favourites. You look at what they have on the pitch. You look at all the star quality that they have. You look at all the goal scoring ability of all their players. Not just Lewandowski, but the likes of Muller, Kingsley Coman, who always comes up with important goals when needed for Bayern. You look at they've got Gnabry, they've got Sane. They've just got a team oozing with talent and quality, so it's very easy to see why they are the favourites. Villarreal have threats of their own, don't get me wrong, but they just don't have that standout name, those star individuals that Bayern do, which is why Bayern will win this game across both legs, and they will progress to the semi-finals, where they will face obviously the winner of Benfica or Liverpool, and the likelihood there is it's going to be Liverpool. So a Bayern-Liverpool semi-final looks very much on the cards in this game, and that is going to be a tasty encounter in itself if obviously that comes true. But to get there, both teams have to obviously avoid potential banana skins, and these two games for them are obviously potential banana skins if they don't take it seriously and they cast their eye further afield than what is in the present and in the now. But like I say, Bayern should be winning this game. I'm going to go for a 2-0 Bayern win in the first leg, and then for them to take the game back to the Allianz and win the game there. Simply for the reason that I just think the likes of Thomas Muller, Gnabry, Leroy Sané, Lewandowski, Kimmich, whoever else you can throw in there will be too much for Villarreal to handle. But of course, as I always say, these are just the thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, whatever you want to call it, of this guy. I want to know what you guys think. What do you make of the Champions League quarter-final stages? What are your own predictions in the games that are coming up? Do you see Liverpool managing to advance to the semi-finals ahead of Benfica? Do you see Manchester City managing to beat Atletico? Or could Diego Simeone's side once again shock a Premier League side? Do you think Chelsea could overthrow Real Madrid, or do you think the experience of Real Madrid will prove too much for the Blues? And do you think Villarreal can shock Bayern Munich, or will Bayern Munich prove to be too strong for Unai Emery's side? I'd love to know your thoughts, your comments, opinions, predictions, most of all predictions of course, and whatever else you want to throw at me down below in the comment section. I'm sure it'll make for interesting reading. Otherwise, hit that like button on the way out. If you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you're new or want to see more content like this. Both things always and forever greatly appreciated. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening. I've been Fletch. This has been another Fletch Talks video, and I will see and speak to you all again soon in another video.